What's going on, everybody? Perfect timing. Are you guys ready to fly?
Break down the walls. Well, you've got to
Tight the ties.
Well, there's pain. Pain.
What's up, everybody? I don't want to turn it off.
It's time to fight. Well, it's time for tearing free. Well, come. Running next to me.
I want to dance.
He don't
Love you like I do.
Don't make believe that you don't feel it.
You don't feel it too? Come on, guys. Everybody, get the fuck up.
Never, 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 never hide your heart. Don't ever, ever, ever,
Don't ever try, guys.
Whoa!
Whoa!
If you don't give your heart wings,
You never.
never, never, never.
Fuck, I love you guys. How is everybody doing? Holy shit. Shot out of a cannon. God damn. I was in a Footloose mood. You ever get in you ever want to dance out your rage in a wooded glen? Have you guys ever seen Hot Rod? Damn, let me take a breath. Holy shit. That got me going. If you don't give your heart wings, guys, what do you never do? You'll never fly. That's something we don't have now. We had that in the 80s. We don't have that now, though. Wow. How is everybody doing? Happy Easter, first of all. I hope that those of you that celebrate Easter, I hope you had a great time, however you celebrate Easter. I know that some people, they there's a joke, and I'm not poking fun. Okay, I was raised in a Pentecostal household, but I know there's a joke by the great late Bill Hicks. And he says, Easter is, of course, where a giant bunny rabbit hides chocolate eggs in the night. How that ends up, that's the story of Jesus. How in the hell that ended up being the story of Jesus, I have no idea. But I'm going to roll with it. What's up, guys? How you doing? Man. Holly Klein, Rosalia, Colin Murdy. Fachi, what's up, brother? Vinny, Mega Cat, not JPEG. Yeah. Leandro. Chad, for all things horror, what's up, brother? How you doing? Chev Ken. Anyone else hear about Linda Blair being involved in the Blumhouse Exorcist trilogy? I have heard that. I don't know how official it is. I wouldn't be surprised if we go by the track record of David Gordon Green and big franchises, like Halloween, and how you had Jamie Lee Curtis come back. So I wouldn't doubt if he reached out to Linda Blair, or somebody reached out to Linda Blair, and she jumps in there. So yeah, big fan of Argentina. Thanks, Leandro. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. Maverick Media, how are you doing? Aaron, what's up, brother? Richard Strange. Yes. Dave Vanderhoff. Dave, boy, you wanna be paying attention over the next couple of weeks, because if you're a Kiss fan, you wanna pay attention right here to Drumdums Central, okay? Because one of my friends, Roger from Slasher Pepper, if you guys, some of you might be subscribed to his channel. He's also on Instagram, pretty popular Instagram handle. But he reached out to me. He was like, "Hey, man, we need to do a Kiss tier ranking." And I was like, where and when and how and why? And I don't need to know the why, but yes, we're gonna do this. So, matter of fact, to do my homework. Now, guys, first of all, I was, I would say I became a Kiss fanatic in the early 90s. And you want me to share that story with you real quick? I'll do it. All right. How did I become a Kiss fanatic? Because Of course, I was a teenager in the 80s. I knew of 80s Kiss, of course. Oh no, tears are falling. Yeah, I loved all those, a lot of the 80s Kiss songs. And I will admit that I was kind of stuck on 80s Kiss for a long time there, and I never really delved back into the 70s that much. Of course, I knew Rock and Roll All Night, Party Every Day, which, by the way, that's probably one of my least favorite Kiss songs after I did my, exploring. But what's up, Polly? But in the 90s, I came in the military, and there was this guy that I struck up a friendship with. We had a band, actually. It was really just a drummer and a guitarist at first. Tony Asner, I still remember him. And Tony, if you see this, I love you, man. I miss you. I haven't talked to you in freaking decades. But Tony was a Kiss fanatic. And he knew everything. And when we'd go to my shop. I worked in a metal shop. I came in the military as a welder. And I had my boss was cool enough to let me keep my drums in there. And so I had my drums set up in there, and we would warm up on Kiss songs. And he turned me on to a lot of old Kiss, and I was like, I'm not really into like Rock and Roll All Night and all that stuff. And he was like, dude, no, don't go by Rock and Roll All Night. There's tons of great Kiss songs from the 70s. 'Cause I think I'm going blind. I guarantee you most of you guys have never even heard that song. That's off of Hotter Than Hell. And that's just a sample, a nugget. But there's so many great Kiss songs, Kiss hidden gems that never had radio play that are completely freaking awesome. So in the 90s, I really started becoming a Kiss fanatic. And I saw them in concert twice. I saw them in 92 on the Revenge tour with Eric Singer and Bruce Kulick. And that was an amazing freaking show. And guys, by the way, because I did talk about Ace Frehley last week, and I'm going to give you an update on that, but I don't mean to take anything away from Eric Singer and Tommy Thayer. I don't mean to take anything away from them. I don't dislike them at all. As a matter of fact, I was a huge Eric Singer fan. Most of you probably don't know this except for Dave Vanderhoff, but Eric Singer was in a little band called Badlands before he was in Kiss. Way back, when the Kiss in the 80s or early 90s, he joined Kiss after the late Eric Carr passed away. But when he was in Badlands, that first Badlands album is very hard to find brand new now because of another whole story with the lead singer who passed away. But yeah, Eric Singer, and I'll even say this, Eric Singer probably a better drummer than Peter Criss. But in Peter Criss's defense, Peter Criss was more of a swing jazz type drummer. He wasn't really a rock drummer, right? So, and I know I'm veering way off here, but stay with me. And I'm going to talk, somebody asked me earlier too about the Motley Crue drama, and I'll talk about that too. But so I can keep these in clippable segments, I'll stay on Kiss. And say that going back to Slasher Pepper, we're going to be doing the Kiss tier ranking. And I started listening to some of the old Kiss albums again. Just to refresh myself, and I'm up to Destroyer. Now, these are albums I've listened to in the past quite a few times, but I just need to catch up. Because I'm literally writing down each album and what rank I would give it out of 5, So that way when we do this, I'll be more prepared. And I will say, I forgot how great of an album Hotter Than Hell is. That is a great freaking album. It really is. Okay, and another observation I will make is that I never realized this, but those first 3 Kiss albums before Kiss Alive sounded very, I guess, amateurish production-wise. But after Alive, when you get to Destroyer and Rock and Roll Over, the production really picks up quite a bit, actually. So, you got to choose. Dress to Kill, I would rate it a little bit down from Hotter Than Hell. A little. There's some great songs on Dress to Kill, but Hotter Than Hell, man, just boom, 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 boom. So many great freaking songs. So, Parasite, Jesus, that's one of my favorite Kiss songs. Parasite, one of the coolest guitar riffs ever made by the great Ace Frehley. All right. Oh man, that's a great freaking song. Oh my god. I almost want to play it for you, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. All right. So anyway, since I'm still talking about kids, let me talk about an update for the Ace Frehley news. Since we talked about before I had to leave last week, I did get you a little bit of Kiss info, so I might as well do that. And I'm not on call, so don't worry, I won't get called out. Let me take a drink. I got sweet tea and I got water. Okay, guys, sweet tea, water. What are you drinking? Please follow the stream rules. Post what you're drinking in the chat. Okay. All right, so just to catch you up, last week I talked about Ace Frehley and how Paul Stanley on the Howard Stern show recently in an interview, he said if Ace and Peter jumped back in the band, it wouldn't be called Kiss, it would be called Piss. And of course, that pissed off, nice, Holly, that pissed off Ace Frehley. And so he said, you have 7 days, and if you do not apologize, then I will drop some tea, some dirt. So here we are. It's been 7 days, and now I can give you the update. I just listened to it right before this because Eddie Trunk was doing another interview with Ace Frehley. So Ace Frehley basically stated that he got a phone call from a number on his cell phone. You know how your cell phone, we all pre-program numbers in our family, our friends, whatever. And so his cell phone went Paul Stanley, right up with Paul. He said, this is the same phone number that I've talked to Paul Stanley over the years on. And he answers the phone and he thinks that Paul Stanley's going to say, hey man, let's talk this out. Either I'm sorry or let me explain myself. But instead, I'm paraphrasing, but he basically told Ace Frehley, fuck you and I'm not apologizing. Fuck you, and I'm not apologizing. Okay. So then Ace Frehley calls, or Doc McGee. I don't know who called who, but Doc McGee's the manager of Kiss. And Doc McGee said that wasn't Paul Stanley. Okay. So as of right now, it's kind of he said, she said. One party is saying that was not Paul Stanley. Another party, of course, Ace Frehley, is stating that, well, I mean, it was his voice. It was his number. So did somebody get his number? I don't know. And guys, some of you might be experts in this. Can somebody clone a phone number and have the number come up as the actual person? Like, could somebody have cloned Paul Stanley's phone and when that number called Ace Frehley and it said, could it say Paul Stanley? That's my question. If any of you guys are experts in that department, because I'm not, I don't know. Okay. I like to give Paul Stanley the benefit of the doubt for, if his management said it wasn't him, then I like to give him the benefit of the doubt and say it wasn't him. I might be Team Ace, but I'm still, I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't know. So who knows? But you know what? Ace Frehley said, I'm not going to spill any tea. He talks to some friends. And Tiff has done it. Okay, there you go. So maybe, with tech nowadays, Beast of Darkness, thank you very much. Happened to me. Yes, it can. Sean G. So, you know what? Maybe Paul Stanley's right. And plus, that doesn't sound like Paul Stanley would. Now, Paul Stanley might say, I'm not apologizing. But I don't think Paul Stanley would go that route. Like, just call him, fuck you, and then hang up, not even give him a chance to respond. I don't think Paul Stanley would do that. I don't. So I don't think Paul's even said anything, if I'm being honest. Can Paul sing anymore? Well, that kind of segues me into the Motley Crue portion because we're going to get into that, okay? But so yeah, that is pretty much the update for the Ace Frehley thing. Will there be a part 3 to this? I don't know. Probably not. I know the last shows are in December. I think there was some interest in Ace and Peter coming back, but there's got to be a certain price to be paid, okay, monetarily. So I don't know if that's happening. I think it would be cool for the fans. And Ace has said, hey, I'll get up there. I won't even put on makeup, okay? I'll let Tommy Thayer still wear my makeup, all right? But you pay me the right price. And I think he said it. He even gave the price. I think he said $250,000 for a couple songs. He says, yeah, happily, I'll do it. Matter of fact, I'll put this out there right now too. I'll get up there and play air guitar for $250,000 if they want, or $250, honestly. Okay, sounds good to me. The Unplugged album, Rick Michaels, thank you very much. That was the album that got the band back together, the original members, and got the makeup back on. Now, let me ask you guys this, some of my Kiss fans in there. Do you think at a certain point, let's say in the early 2000s after Ace and Peter left, do you think that Paul and Gene should have taken the makeup off and had Eric and Bruce Kulick come back? Because I think I do. Business-wise, that wouldn't have been a good idea because the music had changed at the time. And, there was still money to be made to see Kiss in makeup. And I will say, Joe Sixpack, I've used the term Joe Sixpack before. Joe Sixpack is just the casual movie fan, the casual music fan that doesn't really know the minutia of Kiss. Joe Sixpack's probably not going to know the difference. Joe Sixpack's probably going to think, oh, that's the Catman, and that's the what do you call Ace? The lightning guy? I don't know. And that's good. That's all that matters, Whereas me, I have no desire to ever see current Kiss in makeup. No desire whatsoever. So, Mega Cat, I did a whole segment on Brandon Lee last week. I did delete that because I had to leave 30 minutes in, but I saved the Brandon Lee portion. So I'll probably put that out on YouTube here eventually. I meant to do it, but I haven't done it yet. But I did a little bit of eulogy for Brandon Lee last week, and I'll probably put that out. Space Ace, that's it. Yeah, thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dave. So, yeah, okay. So now, since we're still in the music box area of Drumdums, somebody asked me earlier about the Motley Crue drama. We might as well talk about it. All right, let me take a drink. Hold on. And I'll fill you in on what the drama is. All right? Hold on. And I'll give you my thoughts. Okay, so the story with Motley Crue is John Five, who played for Rob Zombie, he played for Marilyn Manson in the past. Just a couple of months ago, I think, he took the place of Mick Mars. Mick Mars has had this spinal disease for, I would say, probably the last 30 years, since he was like 27 years old. And it's a miracle that the guy could still stand up and play. Because when you watch some of his shows, even like back in the 2000s, first off, he looks like he weighs 27 pounds. And secondly, he can't really move, He pretty much has to just kind of stand there holding his guitar, and it looks painful. It does look painful. As a guy that has had back problems in the past, and it's probably like 2% of the problems, the pain that Mick Mars has probably had, I can say holding a guitar all night would probably be stressful on the lower back. So, it's ankylosing spondylosis. And I know I butchered that. But, I mean, man, hats off to Mick Mars for being able to hack it all these years. And I'll say this, too, about Mick Mars. I think he is the secret ingredient of Motley Crue's sound in the 80s and 90s. He had such a signature guitar sound. And not only that, but he created some really tasty riffs, guitar riffs. And I think he's a big reason why Motley Crue wrote so many big hits, even though, not to take anything away from Nikki Sixx wrote, I think, most of the songs. But, man, Mick Mars' guitar sound is highly underrated, okay? So, recently they put out a statement a few months ago that Mick Mars is bowing out for medical reasons. John Five is going to be stepping in. And as far as Mick coming back, I don't know if they actually stated. I think they said that maybe if they do any albums in the future, studio albums, maybe he would record, correct me if I'm wrong, some of you, but I think something like that was put out there. But it did seem like, it felt like there was more to this story. And I'll even say John Corabi, who was the singer for Motley Crue for the self-titled album in '94, stated, because he's friends with Mick Mars, that he thinks, he hasn't talked to Mick Mars, but he thinks there's more to the story. You know, because he stated that they wanted Mick Mars out of the band a long time ago. Probably because of his medical issues. I don't know. So, anyway, just recently, it finally came out. Mick Mars has filed a lawsuit against Motley Crue. And I think it's a monetary thing, because I think Mick Mars, for the rest of this tour, was going to get a small percentage of the rest, which I think's fair if you're not playing. But, and he also dropped some tea, which this is no surprise to anybody, but he basically stated that Nikki Sixx hasn't played a lick of his bass the whole tour. It's all been backing tracks, pre-recorded backing tracks. And I think he even stated that there's backing tracks for Vince Neil, which that's shocking because he already sounds pretty bad. So with backing tracks, he sounds that bad. And there was a video of Tommy Lee like rushing to his drum set. You can find it on YouTube, where the drums kick in before he is able to sit down and hit the stick against the snare. And hey, I'll say this: Tommy Lee's an amazing drummer, you know, and I think still to this day he can play the hell out of the drums. I think this is so everybody can kind of stay in sync. Because if you got 2 or 3 people using backing tracks and one guy's not using backing tracks, then there's a chance that something's going to fall out of line, right? So I think if you're using it, then you're going to use it too. And I think Mick Mars stated that he never even used any backing tracks. So it's an ugly mess. I'll give you my opinion on backing tracks first and foremost, because there was some controversy a few months ago with Eddie Trunk. And the lead singer of Falling in Reverse, and Ronnie Radke, he was using laptops, and there was some confusion there, because Eddie Trunk was basically stating that you shouldn't have to use laptops, you shouldn't use backing tracks, and he had people jumping in his defense, like Sebastian Bach. And I will say, back, you know, I saw a lot of these bands back in the 90s, and there were no laptops back then. And from what I heard, like I saw Slaughter, I saw Steelheart, I saw Kiss a few times, Guns N' Roses, Metallica. It always sounded live to me. I never heard any backing tracks or anything, okay? That doesn't mean they didn't use them back then, but you know what? You never heard any controversy of them back then, okay? So I don't think they were using them back then. And I'll even say I think there's a lot of bands today, like Metallica, that don't use backing tracks, okay? Now, I think there is a difference between backing tracks and using laptops, okay? Let me put that out there right now. I think in today's modern technology with bands and how light shows are bigger and better than ever, you know, I saw Tool in concert 5 times. I would imagine in this day and age that you would probably need a laptop or some sort of program to run all that stuff. So I honestly have no problem with bands using laptops, nor do I have I mean, who am I anyway? Who cares what I say? But just my personal opinion, like if I was at a show right now seeing Falling in Reverse, and I look behind me and there's a guy controlling the lights and this and that, it's pretty much kind of like a soundboard, right? Of course that wouldn't bother me as long as the band is actually playing their instruments and as long as Ronnie Radke is actually singing in the mic. That's my thing. I don't like going to a live show and knowing that the band is phoning it in, you know? I don't like that at all. You can use your laptops all day. I got no problem with that, okay? Do what you got to do. That's part of concerts these days. And if I'm being honest, it enhances the show. Shows these days, they're more of an experience, not just the live music. It's a show. When I saw Tool in concert 5, 6 times now. One, that band was playing live. I know that for a fact. Maynard's voice, it's so good and so clear, but you can still tell this is not like a studio track. Plus, if you really watch a singer at a mic and pay attention to what he's doing and when he steps away from the mic and when he comes into the mic, you can pretty much tell eventually if he's actually singing or not. And you would see Maynard like grab the mic and pull it right, and then he'd do his dance type thing. And if I had to put Vegas money on it, I'd say, yeah, that band's not using backing tracks. Are they using laptops? Probably. Okay. And I got no problem with that. So, but Motley Crue, to take it a step further, and I think at least half of the band is not actually playing their instruments. Hang it up and retire, because I guarantee you most of your audience that you're playing for, I think most of them probably don't know that stuff. And I think some of them would probably be upset if you told them, hey guys, by the way, we're going to hit a play button and we're going to lip sync into the mic and we're going to air guitar this thing. Okay. I think the fans would kind of get pissed. Okay. I do have a hard time thinking that John 5 would actually accept, using backing tracks for his guitar. Now, there's so many different factors that I could probably spend way too much time on this. Like if you have a single backing track for an effect or something like that, I don't care. That's not a big deal to me. But let's just say the core music, the bass tracks, I want them live. Give me that, and you can skirt around it as much as you want. I don't really care, all right? But I'm not that hard to please. But I do want live music, okay? So I think you know where I'm coming from on that, all right? Like I said, I saw a lot of bands in the 90s, as up to as far as like I think the last concert I saw was Rockville, and I saw Slipknot, and I guarantee you Slipknot's not using backing tracks, at least for the core instruments, okay? The bass tracks, all right? So, yeah. I think you guys know where I'm coming from. So, that's my Motley Crue portion. I'll probably clip that out too, okay? Guys, you know what? I want to hear your feedback. What do you guys think of backing tracks? What is your stance on backing tracks? Is it something that bothers you when you go to a show? Or can you, and there's nothing wrong with this, can you go to a show and just really, I don't care. I'm just here to have a good time. I want to dance. I want to hear my favorite song. I want to hear Shout at the Devil. And I don't care if they're singing or not. I'm here with my buddy, and we're going to freaking party. That's it. Hey, Brooke, how are you doing? Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Brandon, what's up, brother? Nice to see you. Joseph, the horror guy. Seeing some more people jump in here. All right, cool. Captain Meets Adventures. I like that name. Cool. I see so many YouTube names that I wish I would have thought of before Drumdums. Because so many times I'm like, damn, I hate my channel name. But I'm stuck with it, and I can never go back. And it's an easy joke, too. It's an easy joke. I've been called Drumdums before, and I got to live with it, guys. I got to live with it. It's okay, though. Part of me loves it, though. Part of me loves the name Drumdums because I've built something off of the foundation of it. And part of me wishes I chose a different name when I started this damn channel. Jason, what's up, brother? Yeah. Captain Meets Adventures, welcome to the Drumdums live stream, man. We have a good time over here. We do. We play grab ass. Okay? Carly says, if the backing track is for backing vocals, instruments that they don't have musicians for, things like that, I don't mind. But the musicians on stage have to be playing for me to enjoy it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I think eventually, like, you might have this mindset at the beginning, like, I don't care, I'm just here to have a good time. But there's nothing that can compare to the live performance, because a lot of times you can catch these little magical moments, that you can only catch like right then and there. You might have a guitarist or a singer that they might do one thing at a certain show and never do it again. It could almost be like a happy accident. And that's the beauty in a live performance. Whereas if you have a backing track, which is funny. Jason's name is Backtrack Cinema. Jason and I did not plan this. I swear to God. Just imagine you're seeing a band, and if you were like, say, a like a Deadhead that followed that band for 10 shows, wouldn't that piss you off if every show the music sounded the same every time? So Carly brings up a great point. Okay. Wesley Cox, are you looking forward to seeing Insidious 5? I'm a casual Insidious fan. It's one of those franchises where if I got nothing going on and I'm looking for a horror movie and there's a brand new Insidious movie coming out, and there's nothing else playing, I'll go see that. And that's happened before. I think with the last Insidious movie. Destiny, what's up? How are you doing? The last Insidious movie, I was like, hey, there's nothing else playing. I'll go check this out. Because usually there's some fun stuff in these movies. So I'm not an Insidious fanatic, but I'll probably end up going to see Insidious 5. It could happen. Now, I will say there are certain guys, give me what you'd call a median franchise. It's not bad. It's not great for you, but you'll go see it. Give me a medium or median franchise for you. Okay, so I guess Insidious would be that franchise for me. I will go see those movies, but I'm not gonna it's not gonna be the be all end all. Okay, it's like Stanley237 says Halloween. Halloween's my top tier franchise. Okay, if something called Halloween comes out, I shake for a bit, I lose my shit. And then I run to the theater and forget that I didn't put pants on. Okay, it's that crazy for me. Talk about Psycho Killer, Aaron. I don't know what that is. Did you send me something about Psycho Killer? I can't. Oh, I know what you're talking about. That's a new slasher movie that's coming out. You know what? I'll see if I can make time for that when I get to the news portion. I do have some Scream updates. And guys, I didn't put Scream on my thumbnail because I'm not mad at the player. I'm mad at the game. But if I see another Scream thumbnail, I'm going to freaking throw up. Okay? And I can't do it anymore. But I'll still talk about news if something's popping up. Okay? Something's popping up. And it's not that big of news. But I don't want to lure you in with Scream. I want, because I know that there's some people that if they see Scream on a live stream thumbnail, they will click on it. No matter what, they will click on it. And that's great. But I want people to click on the thumbnail because they just want to come hang out and talk horror with me. Okay, does that make sense? Am I being a snob? I'm not trying to be a snob, but I don't know. That's why I put something kind of bland on the thumbnail, because I want my people here, okay? Yeah. Jason says, Scream for me, I'll watch it, but I won't lose my shit over it, okay? Destiny, Scream till she's... And I love that, Destiny. I freaking love that. Halloween till I die, okay? That's the way I am with Halloween. I go nuts for Halloween, all right? Aaron, Lee, you'll scream if you see a Scream thumbnail? Yes, pretty much. And guys, I really, really enjoyed Scream 6. It's not the movies. It's like the game. The 9,000 freaking Scream thumbnails that I see, okay? So I have an issue. It's me. It's not them. It's me. All right. I'm so stupid. And you know what? That's going to happen with Friday the 13th. When this new Friday movie comes out, there's going to be 9,000 Friday thumbnails. All right. I'm going through a midlife crisis. I don't know what the hell's going on, guys. Jesus. I'm going through a YouTube crisis. When I started YouTube, it was a different world. It really was. Horror was just kind of horror in general. It wasn't everybody chasing something. And I get that. You got to get that nut. You're a squirrel. You got to get that, especially if you're playing this YouTube game. You got to get that nut, okay? And you got to chase it until you fucking die. I get that. And like I said, I don't hate you. You're the player. I don't hate the player. I hate the game. It drives me nuts. But there was a time, or maybe I'm jaded here, but there was a time in YouTube when it wasn't really like that as much in the horror community. It was just, let's talk horror. And maybe we'd put we'd put Alien on the thumbnail, or we'd put Scream, or we'd put Halloween, but it wouldn't be like, I got to make Halloween 10 videos in a row, unless I'm reviewing the movies. Okay. But it wasn't like, we just found out that, the third extra showed up on set, and this is day 40, and we need to talk about that. It wasn't like that. It was, topical, whereas, I don't know. I think, you know what I'm saying? What am I saying? Scream hangover. That's what it is. It's just like, oh God, I just want to talk horror. I just want to lean back and talk horror, and I'll give you some Scream stuff. All right. I have some Scream stuff. Okay. Man, I'm in a mood today. Well, I just got off of, I took a week off of work, so I had a little vacation. I went to St. Augustine with the wife. It's a kind of a staycation. Have you ever taken like a staycation? And it was nice. It was just relaxing. And one day we went to Universal, and it was just like it wasn't even planned so much. It was just like, okay, what are we gonna do today? You pick something one day and I'll pick something one day. And so, yeah, we went to like St. Augustine, which was fun as hell. Went to Universal, which was cool. One day we went and played miniature golf. And maybe I'm in a funk because I got to go back to work tomorrow. You ever like when you go back to work from a long vacation, it should be the opposite. You should be like happy to go back to work. But instead, it's just like you got a headache from the idea of going back to work. I think that's where I'm at, and that's why I'm in a mood today. I don't know. And so, yeah, but it was, I had a great freaking vacation. And I did go out to get some takeout, and I ended up getting some Steak and Shake. And I found that there's only a couple restaurants open today because it's Easter, and I forgot about that. And I wanted some Zaxby's, but all the Zaxby's were closed. So, like, Destiny, is Sonic closed today? Because we don't have, I don't even know, where the nearest Sonic is. I probably would have got some tater tots. I do love their tater tots. You get me talking about food, and then I get happy again. Yeah, Sonic's closed today, too. See? And, yeah. So maybe that's what it is, too, because I didn't really want Steak and Shake, and it was kind of nasty. But, yeah. Only on Thanksgiving. So they're open on Thanksgiving? Oh, so you're saying they were open today. They were open today and they're closed on Thanksgiving. Okay. Yeah. I don't like Taco Bell. And I would have probably gotten some Tijuana Flats. Ever since I started eating Tijuana Flats tacos, I can't eat Taco Bell anymore. It's just that good. It's just that good. CC's Pizza. Aaron used to work at. I used to go to CC's Pizza. Is CC's Pizza the one that has the dessert pizza, and they would have chocolate pizza, and they would have apple pizza? I think that was CC's Pizza. Yeah. You know what? Let's do the Scream news now. Okay, we'll go ahead and do the Scream news. Make you Scream fans happy. Okay. All right. Because I got a little question here that I want to ask you guys too. And Let me go back. Hold on. All right. News. Yeah. So, yeah, let's open up the Scream news. I love bullshitting with you guys. I really love just chatting with you guys. It's really fun. Scream 6 box office reaches franchise milestone not hit since Scream 2. So let's read this real quick. And I have another article about Scream that came out a month ago, and I have a question, all right? And maybe you guys can help me, okay? So Scream 6 continues its impressive box office run, hitting a domestic milestone that hasn't been hit since Scream 2, 26 years ago. Released last month to mostly positive reviews. Scream 6 sees Sam, Tara face off against new Ghostface Killer in New York City. The hit sequel earned $44 million its opening weekend, exceeding expectations and setting a new opening weekend franchise record. Now, as per Variety, Scream 6's box office has now hit a new milestone, crossing the 100 million mark domestically. This feat was last accomplished by the franchise with Wes Craven's Scream 2 back in 1997, which ended its run at 101 million. In the coming days, the latest sequel is also expected to beat the 1996 original, which remains the highest grossing installment of the franchise in North America. Internationally, however, Scream 6 stands at 156 million, putting it well behind the first two movies, which stand at 173 million and 172 million. And that's back in 1996, guys. So, let's see what Scream 6 box office means for the franchise's future. Well, they'll make more. I don't even have to read that. That's what it means. But here's my question for you guys. But the reason I read that was because it stated that an announcement for Scream 7 is imminent. Let's see if I can find that somewhere here. Well, I'm not going to search for it because I don't want to waste your time, but I want you to just trust in me and know that I read that, and I think it was on that page, that an announcement is imminent, like it's going to happen. And then I noticed over here on Screen Geek, it said it's been revealed, and this was March 6th. This was a month ago. It said it's been revealed that Scream 7, the follow-up to Scream 6, has been greenlit. Studio plans to shoot this year. So which is it? Which is, are they lying? Let's read a little bit of that and see what they're saying. Hold on. Scream franchise was on hiatus between 2011 Scream 4 and 22 Scream. The newest installment has successfully revived the brand. However, with Scream 6 having been quickly put together, now it looks like Scream 7 is on the way next. The latest installment of the franchise is still several days from hitting theaters. So this came out before the movie came out. But we've received news from sources that a follow-up to Scream 6 has been officially greenlit. So I'm thinking those sources probably told them that it's going to happen. And let's face it, these horror slasher movies, they're made for 2 nickels and a dime, okay? In Hollywood money, that's probably like, I don't know, 10, 15 million. Which, guys, and I need your help here too. What was the budget on Scream 6? I thought, didn't I read somewhere that it was like 40 million? I don't know. But yeah, so basically that tells me that I don't know if it's official or not, but it's pretty much official because there's no way in hell that Scream 7 is not coming after the money that this movie has made. And my question for you guys is, I need some lessons learned from you guys, okay? What is a lesson learned? And I'd prefer it if you really, really liked Scream 6, which I did. I really, really liked it. Thank you, Brooke. 35 million. Okay. Especially if you really liked it, okay? And I really liked it. What's a lesson learned? What is something that they did in Scream 6 that you hope is corrected in Scream 7? Okay, that's your question number 1. Tonight it's on you guys, okay? I'm sitting back, all right? Tonight it's on you guys. What single aspect of Scream 6 do you want corrected for Scream 7? Okay? That's number 1. Question number 1. Okay? Get ready. Write this out. Question number 2. Question number 2 for you guys. Okay? What element of Scream 6 do you want them to, like, you loved the most? That it has to be in Scream 7. Okay? So, Rosalia has no answer. So yeah, give me the thing you want corrected, and give me the thing you want them to take to carry forward that you loved. Okay. So Brooke says less plot armor. I knew that would probably be the number 1 thing. More screen time for Gale. I agree with that, Jason. I definitely agree with that. Scream 7, the final chapter for now. Yeah, I guess that would be a trilogy. So I'm not against that, although it's tough, because I'm not going to lie. I really enjoy these movies. And if they got to keep making them, as long as the stories are good, why not, So I don't know about that. Let me go over here because I'm seeing some of your answers pop up, and I want to make sure I can read some of them. Okay. Destiny says there's never been someone like me before and then showed us something we've seen before. I want them to keep the set pieces and action sequences going. Yeah, that's a good answer. I will say though, and it's one of those things where if we give them one thing that's different, then that's okay because we're not lying. And the thing that they did give that was different. Spoiler alert, guys! If you haven't seen Scream 6, okay, spoiler alert. But the beginning when Jason was wearing the ghost face mask and then he takes off the mask, I thought, whoa, that was pretty damn cool. Why is it? Hold on, let me see something here. Hey guys, are you seeing me or are you seeing like my intro? Because I'm looking at, let me refresh this. Maybe that's what it is. Because I'm looking at this and it's showing me. I'm so confused right now. Let me refresh this. Hold on. When you look on the YouTube page in that top left thing and it's showing my intro. Very strange. Okay, yeah. I refreshed it. It looks good. Thanks, guys. Okay. All right. So, Brett, what's up, man? Yeah. Holly sees me. Okay, yeah, everybody can see me. Cool. I'm fine on my end. Okay. Yeah. Carly says, I don't know. I don't want plot armor, but also if they hurt the core 4 and Gale, I will write. See, that Carly, that's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at because it's a cake and eat it too type thing. You say you don't want plot armor, but if they kill even one of those, you're going to be pissed. You're going to be pissed. So, I guess that's my question for you guys. All right. For the core 4, does one of them need to die in the next movie? It's just a general question. You don't have to tell me one particular character, but I just need a general answer. Does one of the core 4 or Gale, do they need to die? Or can this movie be a situation where as long as the story's really good and fun, all of them can still live? Okay? Here's my answer for that. I'm fine with everybody living, but don't fucking set me up. Don't fucking stab them 18 times and then make them live. I think that's the big thing. I never had a problem with anybody living. I just don't want to be bait and switched like that, with I don't know if that's the right phrase to use, but I don't want somebody to be obliterated. Like, I think in the Scream franchise, somebody could be thrown in a metal compactor and they'd still live at this point. Okay? That's what I'm trying to say. All right? So, I don't mind, but, yeah, you can get hurt. You can get strawberries. I'll put my limit at strawberries, okay? They can get arm strawberries or they can get knee strawberries. All right? That's it. All right. Hey, Jeremy, how you doing? Okay. So, yeah, anyway, that's the Scream news. Man, I got so much. We got a lot to cover, guys. All right. We got a big jam. I always like to give you guys a lot to talk about. I don't even have funnies tonight. All right. Because I didn't even have time to dig for funnies. But that's okay because I have a lot of stuff to cover with you guys. All right. Topics type stuff. I got two, I guess ranking. I got a top 5 and I got a top 10. All right. So we'll get there though. We'll get there. I guess we're going to talk about obsession horror. We're going to talk about movies inspired by Italian horror. So, and I'm excited about this because it gives me a chance to maybe recommend some movies that you haven't seen. You're going to probably see a lot of these movies, but maybe there'll be something in there that's a nice surprise. And by the way, I just dropped a review for the It Stains the Sands Red. Here it is. Let me go back over here. Yeah. And let me go back over here. Yeah. Yeah. Guys, check this movie out. It Stains the Sands Red. You know, I liked it so much. I almost loved it, and I wanted to review it immediately. So, yeah. Check out that review, but check out that movie. Really good movie. I was excited to cover it because I didn't see anybody covering that movie. Although Jason from Sinister Cinema, who covers everything, God bless his soul, he covered it. I saw he was one of the few that covered it like a couple years ago. Okay. Man, I'm thirsty tonight. Jesus. What'd you guys eat for dinner tonight? I have a monster in the fridge. I might go down there and get it. I'm not sure yet. Still figuring it out. Is Levi still here? Yeah, he's under my chair. Okay. Let me see what you guys ate. All right. Pizza, Chinese, Pizza Hut, tuna sandwich, Spanglia, cheeseburger, pizza, homemade hamburger. Ooh, homemade. I like homemade. Leftover ham. That's good. Are you still drinking that screwdriver, Holly? Ham, mashed potatoes, peas, and dressing. I have one down my trousers. If you put anything on that teleprompter, he will read it. That was a good one. But do you have a pizza down your trousers? Avocado dip with Doritos. That sounds like a tasteful little dish. Dances with the palate. Yeah, I should have ate something better. I did have a bacon sandwich for lunch with these like what are those like are they Lay's? They're crackers, but they're like ranch flavored crackers. They're really good. I don't eat chips as much anymore. I eat the crackers. I like the crackers better. They just taste better. You know, whereas chips, I get a bellyache after I eat chips. You guys get a bellyache when you eat like Doritos? I always do. You know, I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. Okay. All right. Let's go over to. I have a topic. We're going to discuss a topic, and I put this on the thumbnail. Actually, why are movies today different? And this sounds like an easy question, but we're going to explore it a little bit. Why are movies today different than movies that came out, say, in the 70s and 80s? Okay, I have 5 answers that I could go into with you guys, and please play along. And if I'm missing something, let me know. Okay, so let me go down to my topical slides. Yeah, already got it up. See? What's the difference? Horror generations. All right. This is when I went for a walk today. I literally just came up with this. I went for a walk because sometimes you guys ever do this when you go for a walk? All of a sudden, all these ideas just start flowing in your head. You know, and that's what happened. I started thinking about movies today and why are movies so different than movies back, in earlier times. And you start having a conversation with yourself, and all these answers. So these 5 things just popped in my head as I was talking about this. Okay. So first thing, and this is just my observations. I could be wrong. I could be right. Let me know. But here, first thing, social media drives stories these days. Keep in mind, back in the 80s, even 90s, there were hell, even part of the 2000s, we didn't have social media, and I think there was more of a think tank going on back then. I think there were meetings and studios. Hell, the first Predator was a script by this guy who wasn't really in the business too much. At least I don't think so. And he slid a script under a producer's door. And just by chance, that producer picked up that script and they made Predator. you know? So I think because there was no social media back then, and social media influences everything these days, there was more creativity, and there was kind of nothing was off limits, you know? And hell, just to kind of drive that point home, I was watching this documentary about Brooke Shields today on Hulu. It's a brand new documentary, really interesting. Check it out if you get a chance. But, you know, back when her first couple of movies, you know, she was a child. She was literally like, I think 10 years old, and she played like a prostitute, you know? And then she did The Blue Lagoon, and she was like naked in that movie. I don't think they actually show, you know, it was strategic camera work, even though she was nude. And I was just thinking, there's no way in hell that these movies would be made today because of social media and the outright outrage that we would have today if they even dared try to make movies like that. You know, I'm not saying whether it was wrong or right. Even back then, I probably wouldn't have wanted to watch, especially if I was a grown man. I was a child back then, but if I was a grown man, I'd probably shy away from watching a movie with a child, you know, being naked. I wouldn't like that. You know, I would feel weird and off. But there were some pretty scumbag, asshole, douchebag producers back then, you know? And I think there's pros and cons to the material that they made in movies back then. Sometimes it's nice to be able to push the envelope a little bit and not really care what the zeitgeist is and what's popular and what doesn't ruffle any feathers. They didn't think like that back then. So there was a good thing to it, but then there's also sometimes, are they going too far? And they did go too far, I think, a few times in the 80s. That doesn't mean that, depending on the movie itself, okay? But that doesn't mean that, like, I want that erased from existence. It was there in that time frame, and it'll be there throughout time. And if anything, it's, hey, wow, they really went for it back then. You know, they touched on really taboo topics, and it existed. But it's a lesson on what was, I guess, considered appropriate back then. So, but then there's the bad side of it with social media, where when writers use social media to govern the direction that their stories should go, we want to make sure that we satisfy these three audiences or four, just an example. That gets in the way of creativity. And then you get lukewarm movies to me. When it feels like there's something of an agenda pushed in there, then I don't know. So that's why, and there's other things I want to mention, but I think they're going to be down the list here. Matter of fact, let me take a quick look at my list to make sure, because I don't want to mention the same thing twice. So one thing I'm thinking of right now that's not on that list actually is everything is sequels and remakes these days. And, that's John Carpenter talked about this at a con that he was at. Like, it's a built-in brand. That's why studios, it's a risk factor. What's more risky? An already established property or, this brand new original idea over here? I'm going to go with this already established property that's already made us money. Let's keep making that. And the other day I was at the movie theater and I was looking at the movie posters, and I want to say out of let's say there were 5 movie posters that I was looking at, 4 of them were either a sequel or a remake. I think only one of them was an original property. And that's just the way things are these days, So, yeah, I guess I can add that to topic number 1. Okay, so number 2, digital filmmaking. I think there's pros and cons to digital filmmaking. I love that grainy look that you get with film and 35 millimeter and everything. But with digital filmmaking, I think that's why one reason why we're seeing so much more coming out these days. Whereas if you remember back in like the 80s, when you would go to the theater, there'd be a couple movies playing, but not like today where you'll see like freaking a dozen movies playing, 16 movies playing. And I think one reason for that is digital filmmaking, and it cuts costs and time. It costs, you don't have to buy, film reel. You could do multiple takes, whereas each take counted when you were shooting on film, So, and that's just kind of a fact of the matter for today. And I think maybe that's why we do see a lot more independent films these days, is because, hell, anybody. I mean, maybe that's why we see so many fan films these days, is because we all have a camera now. Hell, there's movies that freaking Steven Soderbergh shot a film on a freaking iPhone. There's been a couple of directors that have done this. So it's not a good or a bad thing. It's just an observation. That's one of the differences we see today. Digital filmmaking. All right. We didn't have digital filmmaking back then. We do now. And I'd say, just a wild guess, maybe like 75% of movies are filmed digitally now. And that, I don't know. I didn't do my homework and pull up my figures, but yeah. And Rosalia brings up a good point about practical effects. Maybe that's why we don't see as many practical effects these days, is because of digital filmmaking and being able to create visual effects right there on a computer. Sometimes it's easier to do that, especially with templates. I've already built a base template. Hell, I do that with my YouTube reviews. I have a base template for my top 10s. I have a base template for my reviews. So I have that intro that you see, my little patron cards, anything that you see in every single video, I already have a template for it. So that way it just saves me time, Can you imagine if I had to shoot my reviews on film? What a freaking nightmare. So, like I said, it's just an observation. It's kind of a good thing sometimes, So, next item is boomers to Z. All right, boomers to Z. Would you say the baby boomers, they were kind of the primary audience in like the 80s? Yeah. So that generation is, it's just a different mindset than, Generation Z. And I'm not saying one's better than the other. I'm just saying they're different. They're just different. I'm Generation X. And I would even say Generation X is a little bit different than Generation Z. Some people might call Generation Z the TikTok type generation. That's not a jab. That's just, we have TikTok these days, and Generation Z loves TikTok. And TikTok has its benefits. It's awesome. Some people make a freaking living off of TikTok now. It's cool. And there's some factors that go into there, like the freaking the attention span. Some people have a shorter attention span these days. There's been this debate. If Halloween came out today, would it be a big hit? And I think maybe not. Maybe not, because films, I think, horror, like slasher movies that come out today, they have a different rhythm than they did back then. They're a little bit more fast-paced, And I think filmmakers do that because certain audiences, most audiences these days, most younger audiences like a nice fast pace, Not all, but some of them do. And again, don't look at this as me jabbing at any particular generation or technology or anything. This is just me observing things. That's all it is, okay? I would even say horror has been in a phenomenal rhythm these last few years. It's been pretty awesome, actually. I've really dug a lot of the stuff that's come out these days. I'm not one of these stuck in my ways, old fogey type guys that only watches 80s horror movies. Some people do that, and that's fine. I don't do that. I am always looking for something new. So, yeah, again, I'm not trying to be that guy. Some horror fans are like that. They don't like the newer stuff, and that's fine. I do. Right? I like a lot of the newer stuff, And plus, doing what I do with YouTube, it kind of helps. to like some of the newer stuff, and I like to be surprised. I think horror movies, they still surprise us, which is really cool. I think Halloween surprised us back in 1978, you know? Most of the time when you have a cultural phenomenon, there's usually something there that shakes things up a little bit, you know? Could like Avatar. People say that story has been told a million times, but it wasn't the story as much as it was the technology. We'd never seen CGI that crystal clear and this world building, this, you know, expansive and imaginative. So, yeah, anytime Blair Witch Project, you know, that's almost the opposite end of the spectrums as far as like budgets go, but it shook things up, right? You have to have new movies, new horror to shake things up every now and then. Otherwise, it starts getting stale. So, boomers to Z, it's fine. You know, I love looking back at a lot of those 70s and 80s movies, even 60s. I've kind of been in a love fest lately with that generation. You know, Italian horror. Most Italian horror movies that I love are from like the 70s. So I like it all. You know, I think it's fine. Okay. Next one. Is horror the least tainted genre? And I want an answer from you guys on this one, okay? Because I was thinking about this. And this kind of applies to that sequels and remakes thing that I was talking about earlier. Everything is a freaking sequel, you know? Especially with superhero movies, with action movies. Comedies, not so much. I mean, comedies don't really do anything these days. But horror is the one genre that you can still put out a lot of original content. You know, I can look at my Letterboxd list from the last 5 years, and I would wager that at least maybe 60 to 75% of the horror movies that I've watched have been original content, you know? You can't really say that for like other genres, especially action, especially superhero. They keep making the same things over and over. And to make things worse with superhero movies, if they do make an original one, it's pretty much a template of every superhero origin story. I just saw this like for the Beetle. Was it the Blue Beetle? I saw the trailer for that. It looked fun. You know, it's got the Cobra Kai kid in there. But I was just thinking, that looks like just your average superhero origin story, you know? You can pretty much predict what Act 1 is going to be. You know, him finding there's going to be an accident that happens, or he's going to find his power in some weird way. The Act 2 is going to be him dealing with his newfound power, and he's going to make mistakes, and he's going to fail. And then Act 3 is going to be the big villain that he's going to have to fight, and there's going to be this big happy ending. I just gave you the whole story. That's what the Blue Beetle's going to be, okay? Whereas horror, man, they shake things up. There's this new horror movie coming out. Did you see what they're doing? They're freaking taking like this quicksand. They're taking this whole idea of people in quicksand. The whole movie's that, and they got to figure out a way to get out of the quicksand. You know, you can build a whole horror movie out of that. You can't really build a superhero movie out of just a superhero in one location doing nothing, you know? So, yeah. That's one thing I love about this genre. Horror it's the one pure genre that still is able to flesh out great original content, you know? It's awesome. It's awesome. He gets the girl in Act 2, but then they break up. Yeah. They mix a little bit of the love story in there. Yeah. Juan says horror movies of today suck. They can't hold a candle to the 80s films. Would you guys agree with that? Horror movies of today suck. They can't hold a candle to 80s. I need to know. I'm not even going to answer him. I'm going to let you guys answer him. Do you guys agree with that? Do you think horror movies today suck? Jason brings up a good point. Horror has no sex or nudity anymore. An interesting shift. I would say for the most part, but there's still movies with nudity, like X. X has a lot of nudity, actually. I'm finding with horror, I don't really need nudity. You know, I'm not against it, but it's not like in my top 3 things that I gotta have. You know, my answer to that for the Juan's statement earlier is I think there's a lot of great horror coming out today. You know, I mean, there's a reason why studios constantly put out horror, because it's cheap, and there's some really good movies. You know. The fans will speak. If they don't like the movie, it's not going to do that good. If horror is really sucking, then word of mouth is going to get out that no, you don't want to go see a horror movie, because have you seen the last 3 horror movies that came out? They all just really sucked eggs, like really bad. So I'm not going to waste my time with that. But no, it's kind of the opposite. It's been like, damn, they've just been freaking knocking out good movie after good movie after good movie. You know, so I'm gonna go see this horror movie. You know. So I think horror's doing really good. I actually enjoy a lot of the stuff that's coming out today. To my surprise, actually. Okay? Yeah, Pearl, Terrifier 2, Richard Strange, definitely. Loved both of those. I loved all 3 Halloween movies. And they had kind of a newer edge to them. You know, they didn't feel like something out of the 80s. But I enjoyed all 3 of them. I really did. I've enjoyed the Scream movies. They've been fun, but also the original stuff, you know? Dave says he really likes Skinamarink. I will say Skinamarink, it was different. I'll give it that. I didn't really care for it, but it was different, you know? So, last one, Icons in the New Age. Icons in the New Age. And it's just kind of talking about the differences, you know? There was like a shift with the horror icons, because in the 80s, I think the icons, their feet were more firmly planted in the era. And that's why you had so many freaking Friday movies and Nightmare movies and Halloween and even Chucky, Leatherface, and you could go down a freaking long line. Horror icons, they were really having a heyday in the 80s. And the only horror icons we see these days that aren't already established way back then, because most of them today are characters that were around back then, right? I could be wrong on that if I think out loud here, but I mean, Halloween's still around. Scream is still around. Scream was 90s, but you know, a new Friday is imminent. I would think another Nightmare is imminent. But the new ones, we have some new ones today. We have 2 Terrifier movies, and Terrifier is going to keep going. I know that. I think we're starting to see a little bit of a shift in terms of newer horror icons, and I think Terrifier might be kicking that off. You had Hatchet. Hatchet's got a few movies out. So there's different flavors out there for different people. But I think it's a little bit looser these days than it was back then. I don't know. What do you guys think? Am I wrong here? I don't know, but I think there's a little bit of a difference. Because back then too, like they would crank out those movies like every year, except for Halloween, because Halloween you did have a good gap there from like 81 to 88. So, but really like Jason and Freddy were pumping out movies. Whereas those guys, especially Jason and Freddy, I mean, you might get a movie every 4 years, 5 years, something like that. So who knows? That one I got to kind of figure out in my head a little bit more. But I do feel like there's a little bit of a difference with the horror icons now compared to back then in the 80s. Okay? So I don't know. So that's that discussion for horror generations. I don't know what my point was. I just wanted to kind of compare the two, you know, not saying one's better than the other, but they're just different. All right. That's what I wanted to kind of drive home a little bit. Just kind of observe, you know. All right. So next topic. I'll give you guys a choice. Do you guys want to do obsession thrillers, or do you want to do Italian horror inspired movies? Okay, I'll let you pick. Matter of fact, go ahead and I'm going to go run and get a monster and just type it out right there. Let me know. Obsession thrillers or Italian horror inspired. Okay. Be right back in like 60 seconds. Let's see what you guys said. Hold on. Italian stuff last. Italian horror, obsession thrillers. Oh, let me go back up. Obsession thrillers, Italian horror. Here we go. Okay, looks like obsession won. Okay, so we'll do obsession. All right. Okay, so we'll do obsession, all right? There we go. Whoo! Let me get my monster. Hold on. All right. During the 90s, there were so many of these movies. I have 6 of them for you, but I know that I'm only scratching the surface. I think they might have made like hundreds of these movies. You had, and I remember that, especially like the B movies, they were just freaking pumping them out like crazy. And you can kind of mix it up with the erotic thriller. There's the erotic thriller, but sometimes erotic thrillers weren't like an obsession type angle. It was something different. Like Blu-ray Addict, Basic Instinct. I'm thinking out loud here, but was Basic Instinct really an obsession thriller? And help me out, guys. Was Basic Instinct an obsession thriller? As a matter of fact, yeah, this movie right here on VHS, I saw this in the theater, and whoa, man, this is a great freaking movie. And this is the thing, it's like, it's such a good movie, but all these B studios were making these movies. They were thinking, oh, we'll just put in like sex scenes in these mystery thrillers, and it'll automatically be good, right? Wrong. There's so many bad ones out there, but this one was actually a really good movie. But I don't think it's like an obsession type movie, okay? Now, I will say one that's not on my list that I can't believe I didn't think about was Poison Ivy. That Poison Ivy is a really good one, and they did, like, I think 3 Poison Ivy movies. So, quick mention for that one, okay? Because like I said, I got 6 that came to mind, and I gave you one of them on Twitter. I actually gave you like a little GIF. So, yeah. Ooh, Holly. See, you guys are starting to roll them out now. Sleeping with the Enemy is a great one. That's one of the better ones. That might be one of my favorites, actually. I loved Sleep. And guys, a lot of you younger viewers don't remember this, but Julia Roberts was like the top paid actress in like the early 90s. I mean, her career just freaking skyrocketed after Pretty Woman. And I think one of the first movies she did after Pretty Woman was Sleeping with the Enemy, and it was very good. I'm surprised the movie wasn't bigger, you know? Everybody had, I think they wanted her to be more of like the America's sweetheart, but Sleeping with the Enemy was, she was married to this really rich douchebag, and he was beating her, and he was obsessed with her, and she couldn't get away, And I think one reason these movies are so popular and why they hit close to home is because they can happen. They're so freaking real, And not only can they happen, but I think a lot of us might know somebody that has actually been through a situation like this, or you yourself. Have any of you guys, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but have any of you guys ever had a girlfriend or a boyfriend that almost immediately you were like, okay, I need to get the fuck out of here because that's a little bit too much, okay? You're coming on way too strong. Has that ever happened to you guys? I see P2 in there too. P2 is a really good one. Yeah. Yep. I Destiny says yes. Carly says yes. And I would wager that most of you probably. Rosalia says, I'm the stalker. Hey, you guys remember that song, My Name is Luca. I live on the second floor. Well, there's a song, a counter song to that goes, I can't remember the name, but he basically, the premise of the song is he beats up Luca. Which is horrible. It's a horrible thing to laugh at. Okay. I can hear the Sarah McLachlan song playing in my head now. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's why these movies are so popular, because we can relate to them. Okay. So you know what? Let me give you the first one. Okay. And this is a movie that is on Netflix that I just saw for the first time a few days ago. And I'm a massive Clint Eastwood fan, okay? This movie is called Play Misty for Me. I had always heard about this movie, and I knew that Clint Eastwood did one of these like obsession thriller type movies, but I never remembered which one it was. And it was late at night, and I'm just scrolling Netflix looking for something to watch, and I usually can't find anything. But they had Clint Eastwood that, Play Misty for Me. I was like, oh, 1971, I think. I'm going to check this out. And it was the first movie that Clint Eastwood ever directed. And it's about this guy who is, he's single. He's I don't know if you call him a player. I guess he is really kind of a player. He goes from woman to woman to woman. He's completely honest with them. He doesn't make any bones about anything. Hey, me and you, we're here to have a good time. And I don't want anything serious, So he meets this attractive female, the one that's right there. As a matter of fact, she is the mother that's in Arrested Development. Okay, they have a one-night stand, and she almost immediately just starts making plans. It's like she just shows up unannounced, and he's like, "Whoa, what's going on here?" Okay, I didn't say I wanted anything. Special here. I just wanted to have a good time. I just want to have a good time. Is there anything wrong with that? As long as you're upfront, as long as you're honest, that's fine. But she does not hold back, and she just keeps coming on over and over and over and over again, and it gets pretty dangerous, and knives are involved. Okay? And I really dug this movie. I really liked it quite a bit, actually. And this movie is the inspiration for me doing this list. And I'm going to give you a spoiler on this movie because I thought it was hilarious. So if you don't want to know the spoiler for the end of Play Misty for Me, then maybe tune out for like the next minute. Because I thought it was kind of funny. So, Clint Eastwood, throughout this whole movie, he is trying every avenue he can think of to push her off of him. You know, he's talking to friends about how do I get rid of her. He's trying to reason with her, you know, and he even like she'll show up and he'll just sleep with her, you know. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna, but as long as you know what this is, yeah, we'll have a good time tonight. But I don't want anything outside of that. So he kind of continues this thing with her instead of just pushing her out. But yeah, he tries so many different things. So then the thing that he has to eventually do in true Clint Eastwood fashion is he punches her in the face. So the very last scene in the movie, you know, she comes at him with a knife, okay? He's got to protect himself. So, you know what? I'm sorry, and this might be controversial, but if anybody's coming at me with a knife and I don't have a weapon to protect myself, then knuckle sandwiches are going to have to do, okay? That's all I got. So she's coming at him with a knife, and he gives her the right in the freaking face, and she goes through the glass, and then she falls off a cliff. So I thought that was kind of funny. I was like, only in a Clint Eastwood movie. The thing that solves the problem is the knuckle sandwich. Yeah. So, but Play Misty for me, really, really good, guys. I highly recommend checking it out. Yeah, self-defense. Thank you, Polly. Polly gets it. Yeah. All right. Next one. And a lot of you guys saw this one on Twitter. The Crush. Another one I saw. This was one of so many that were coming out in the early 90s, I remember. Alicia Silverstone, her first movie before this, I think, was Clueless. I know The Crush was pretty soon after Clueless. And it's one of those movies where it's a teenager. You know, I think she's supposed to be like 15, 16 years old in this movie. And then you got Cary Elwes from Saw. He moves in next door. He's actually got a fiance, I think, or maybe he's married. I think she might be his girlfriend. But it's Tara from Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. And Alicia Silverstone comes in and she just starts coming on really strong, you know. And it's one of those situations where because it should be, okay, I'm just avoiding you because you're not of age, you know. I shouldn't be like messing with you anyway, but because you're like under the age of 18, this should be absolutely easy. Which that's one of my problems with this movie is like, how was he not able to push her off of him, you know? And I think it was a subtle type thing. And it's been a while since I've seen the movie, but I remember she would kind of ease her way in there in his life, you know, through the friendship angle. And it was one of those where it was like almost like right on the line, and he would have to like ask himself, wait, is she just being friendly? Is this just a friendly, you know, or maybe she's got just a little bit of a crush, but she's not going to go there, right? She's not going to take it that far. And she does. And I remember the scene too. And he's talking to her, and I think she kisses him. And I think he's just kind of shell-shocked by it, like, oh my God, what is happening right now, you know? And I guess I could see how a guy that might happen to a guy, you know? But it is it's a really effective and well-written little obsession thriller. For sure. And Alicia Silverstone really gives a phenomenal performance. She's the big standout in this movie, you know? Now, I'm thinking out loud here. What if, and I don't think a movie like this exists, but because you see all these news stories, scandals about teachers, women teachers, and they get in relationships with underage boys from high school. So Guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but has there been a movie like that? The only thing I can think of is maybe To Die For. But it wasn't more. She was using him for something else. It wasn't that she was obsessed with Joaquin Phoenix, because Joaquin Phoenix was I think he was a high school student. But Nicole Kidman was, older. Are there other movies like that, guys? I'm thinking out loud here, but I don't think there's too many where the roles are reversed and it's a young boy seducing an older one. There's got to be some of those, right, guys? There's got to be. Perfect Day? I don't. That one doesn't ring a bell. It's done more on TV, female teacher and male students. I could see that. I'm surprised there hasn't been a movie, like a big studio movie with that premise, because you know what? I think it would be a big hit, honestly. I really do. All-American Girl, the Mary Kay Latuna story. Yeah. Blue Steel is another good one in the gender reversal, so was unlawful entry. Yeah, where the female... but I'm looking for like an older female that's hitting on like a high school student. It's got to exist. Also, somebody mentioned Hand That Rocks the Cradle in there, which I can't believe I forgot to put that one on this list. My God. That is one of the best freaking obsession thrillers I've ever seen. Peyton is a horror icon, and I even put her on one of my like one of my top 10 underrated killers, horror characters, something like that. You can do a search in my rankings, but she's on there. She even made the thumbnail. But Peyton, wow. Rebecca De Mornay is amazing in that movie. Amazing. Loved that movie. Easy A almost did it. Okay. All right. Lee, The Crush was before Clueless. It was one of her first movies. Jennifer Rubin played the girl. Yeah, Jennifer Rubin, thank you. So it was before Clueless. Thank you, Juan. I don't know why I was thinking Clueless was like her first movie. But yeah, Alicia Silverstone, between The Crush and Clueless, man, she just skyrocketed. Shot for the moon. So yeah, that's a good discussion though to talk about. You got the obsession thriller, but then when you mix in like underaged characters, then it adds a whole nother like level of awkwardness and craziness. Okay. Obsessed is one I thought of with Ali Larter and Beyonce. Yep. Okay. So next one, and I only have like 6 of these guys, okay? So we've already done 2 of them. Next one is Swim Fan, another really, really good, effective obsession movie. The young actress there, she's obsessed with the swimmer. He has a girlfriend, and it's kind of like the same plot with most of these movies, especially when it's a younger cast. Take a drink. Hold on. But there's always something that just like sucks us right into these movies. Even if we know that there's a template for these movies. And it's usually going to be the same type deal, but it's a seductive type of movie. We never know what's around the corner. And it's one of those situations where the audience is kind of like yelling at the screen, yelling at the victim, which is the guy in this case, to get away from the girl. And oftentimes we know something that the main character doesn't know. So that makes us scream at the screen. But this was a matter of fact, I think I have this one on VHS too. But another really effective one. I liked this one quite a bit. And usually it's the little incidentals that are the differences in these movies, like the way that they trick their victims. And a lot of times, sometimes it can be like deadly, something deadly, like poisoning their drink or something like that. And usually the person that they're obsessed with, more times than not, they're safe. They're not in harm's way as much as somebody else. Like say he's got a girlfriend And that girlfriend is usually the one that's going to, her life is going to be attempted to be taken, So it's one of those type movies, and we're just like, we're gripping our chair throughout the whole movie, and we're just wondering how this whole thing's going to end. And usually the person that is obsessed, they usually end up falling off a building at the end of the movie. They usually end up falling on a spike, or they're shot, or they get they are impaled. They usually die a horrible, ugly death. Okay, and maybe that's what it's the satisfaction. Has there ever been one of these movies where the antagonist wins? They get away with it. Well, like, what is getting away with it though? Getting the person that they're obsessed with to come their way? That's never happened. So that's what I'd say 9 times out of 10, and usually 10 times out of 10, the antagonist is killed. A very ugly, bloody death. And we know that, but we watch these movies because they're so fun. It's one of those movies where it's not the destination, it's the journey, right? So yeah, and Swim Fan is a really fun one. Okay. Next one. And this is one of my favorites. All right, guys. And I don't think I've seen anybody mention this one either. Okay. Boom. Single white female. This one is so good that they even remade it. The Roommate. The Roommate is a remake of Single White Female. And it's, oh my God, it doesn't hold a freaking candle to this movie. This movie is fantastic. It's so well directed, and it's unique because it's more of a friendship. It's the friend that is completely obsessed with the protagonist. And Jennifer Jason Leigh is just flat out amazing in this movie. I think she plays these types of characters perfectly. But she answers an ad for a roommate with Bridget Fonda, and so at first they become really good friends, and they're doing everything together, and all is hunky dory. And it's one of those situations where it's not so abrupt. It's like slowly things start getting a little off. She's a little weird, and then it's evident at some point in the movie. Usually after like the first act, you're like, okay, she's fucking crazy. There's something wrong here, and she's obsessed. And it goes so far that she ends up getting the same haircut as Bridget Fonda. And I think some people can relate to this too. Maybe not to this level, but you know how sometimes you'll see like a group of friends, and one of the friends is the popular one. They might be popular because they got money, or they're beautiful, or whatever. But I think there's a little bit of truth to the idea of this movie in a lot of friendships, and I'll even admit, my best friend, Rodney, when I was growing up, my high school years, Rodney was freaking built like an Adonis. He was a popular football player. The women loved him. The guys loved him, and we happened to be best friends. He was my best friend, and we hung out with each other every day. And I was always the quiet kid. I wasn't that social back then. I mean, I wasn't like a complete recluse or anything, but it took me a few years to really, really come out of my shell, But I'm not going to admit, I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit jealous of Rodney sometimes, because everybody loved Rodney, And he was a football player. He worked out, and he was just always just a little bit better than me at everything, And sometimes that jealousy sets in. So this movie kind of captures that idea of a situation like that, where Bridget Fonda, you see she's this beautiful person, and the friend is kind of, she's not beautiful. She's just kind of, she's not ugly. She's just kind of plain, you know? And, yeah, but man, this movie just escalates. There's one scene in the bedroom where Jennifer Jason Leigh's character sneaks in after she gets the same haircut. She sneaks into Bridget Fonda's boyfriend's room and crawls under the covers with him in the middle of the night. And he thinks it's Bridget Fonda. It's a really great scene. And he realizes it in the middle, like she initiates sex with him. And he realizes it in the act. And it's like, as it's going on, you're like, oh boy, this is not going to end well, you know? And this could end one of two ways. So, yeah. I love this movie. This movie's really, really good. Another one I have on VHS back there, actually. So, Single White Female. Can't recommend it enough. Next one, two more. Very popular one here. Fatal Attraction. This is one of the most successful. I think this one's kind of the one that kicked the doors open for, as far as like big studios are concerned, because Glenn Close, she might have been nominated for an Oscar. She might have won an Oscar for this movie. I'll have to do my research, but man, she gives an amazing performance. She is completely batshit crazy, insane. You know, that whole boiling the bunny thing, that came from this movie. She literally, or not literally, you know, but the character literally boils a bunny, a pet bunny, you know, and it's Michael Douglas, and she's obsessed with Michael Douglas. Michael Douglas is married, and they have like a one-night stand with each other, and he thinks, you know, that's it, it's over. But then she comes back into his life, and she's like obsessed with him, and she will not let up. And it's one of those situations like I was talking about where, you know, the one that pays the price is not only Michael Douglas, but also his wife, I think played by Ann Archer. But man, this movie was like groundbreaking. It was a massive hit. They even shot like a few different endings for the movie, I think. And I think this is one of those movies that kind of started that whole trend of filming different endings for movies, alternate endings. But man, Glenn Close is scary. You know, as you're afraid of her in this movie, you know? She is dangerous. So I think this set the bar, you know? This really set the bar as to how effective an obsession thriller can be. You know, she's damn near a horror icon, Glenn Close, in this movie. Scary. So, yeah. It rightfully deserved if she won the Oscar. Now, last one, and this, guys, this isn't my number one. I'm not doing like a numbered ranking on these or anything. But last one is going to be a comedy, actually. Kind of a dark comedy. Cable Guy. All right? You know, it's hard to pull off a comedy, but yet have a character still be kind of dangerous and kind of compelling. And Jim Carrey, this was when he was it. He was number one. Everything he touched was gold. He had already done Ace Ventura. He did The Mask. He did The Truman Show. Dumb and Dumber. Yeah. So the next movie that he did, I think this was before Truman Show, this movie, but after that trifecta of, you know, all three of those movies grossed more than $100 million. He decided to do this dark comedy, directed by Ben Stiller, actually. But I think this character is so infectious, again, because I think it's relatable. Have you guys ever had that repairman come over that's a little bit left of center, and he wants to divulge a little bit more information that you don't really care, you know? Like he's rattling off all the tech jargon for whatever task he's doing, especially like the cable guy. And you're just like, I don't care. Just hook it up. You know, you're the expert here. You just do it. So that's kind of the idea here. Like there's a funny scene where he's trying to find the best spot to install the cable wire, and he's like rubbing the wall, and he's like, this is the sweet, and he's like rubbing it like seductively, and he's like, this is the sweet spot. It's just a really fun movie, but Jim Carrey, he's a little scary in this movie because it's one of those movies. It's another friendship type thing. Bueller, guys, help me out. What's his name? I'm drawing a blank. I love this guy too. Back in the 90s. Matthew, who played Bueller, guys? Help me out. Damn it. It's going to drive me freaking crazy. Matthew Broderick. Thank you, Scott. Yeah. Matthew Broderick. By the way, speaking of Matthew Broderick, if I can recommend, because I always like recommending lesser known, very, very good movies to you guys. A movie with Matthew Broderick that you need to see. Shit. I might have to, hold on, let me look it up. Because I was going to say The Thing Called Love, but that's not it. Hold on. That's the one with River Phoenix. Hold on. Let me look it up here. Damn it. I have to recommend this movie to you guys, okay? This movie's so good. It's with Meg Ryan, guys. Matthew Broderick, Meg Ryan. Hold on. I have to. This movie's so freaking good. Meg Ryan. I think this will do it. Hold on. It's not War Games. War Games is really good, though. Addicted to Love. That's it, guys. Addicted to Love. Thank you, Holly. Holly got it. Guys, I'm telling you, rent Addicted to Love as soon as you can. It is so freaking good. Meg Ryan is excellent. Excellent in the movie. And I love Matthew Broderick because he's so willing to take second fiddle if he knows that the other star is going to really send it home. And that's kind of what he does here, but he's so good too. And it's like a actually, this is another one. It's kind of like that. Like he is his ex-girlfriend left him, and he's just really upset that she left him. You know, and she's with this French guy, and he's like spying on her. And then he meets Meg Ryan, who was the girlfriend of the French guy. And so the two of them kind of team up. And man, their chemistry is so freaking good and on point, okay? Addicted to Love. I cannot recommend it enough, guys. It's so good. So good. All right. But yeah, Cable Guy. Back to Cable Guy. Yeah, I think Cable Guy's popular, but it was overshadowed by, you know, like Ace Ventura and The Mask and all those, Dumb and Dumber. But if Cable Guy's on TV, I stop and I watch it. It's very good. It's so freaking fun. And Jim Carrey, I think he gives one of his best performances, you know? And I know he tried to take on a lot more serious roles later in his career after this, but I would put this performance right up there against some of his best work, because this is where he transforms himself. He takes on like this character with a lisp, and it's not for the sake of being Jim Carrey. It's a character, and he's really funny, but he's also kind of demented and scary and freaky in this movie. So I really dug Cable Guy, you know? So really good. Guys, god damn it. It's 9:54. You know what? Here's what we'll do, okay? Because that's the end of those. I'll give you a taste, because I have like 10 of these freaking Italian horror movies that I want to, they're inspired by Italian horror, okay? So I'll give you a taste, and then the next DD Live will go into all those, okay? And let me turn this off. And okay, here's the taste. All right, I'm going to give you a taste. All right, here you go. All right, Friday the 13th Part 2. Can anybody tell me why I would dare put Friday the 13th Part 2 on a list of movies inspired by Italian horror? Can anybody tell me why Friday Part 2 would be on this list? See, this is going to be a list. It's kind of going to be a test for you guys. It's going to keep you on your toes a little bit, okay? Sometimes the movie that I show isn't going to leap right out at you, you know? So, Scott Lauderdale says blood. No. CJM 75 3BC says Bava. He's right. I'm looking for, Brandon's got it right there. Spear Impaling, which that was Twitch of the Death. God damn it, I gave it away. See, you like this game, don't you? Okay, it's Twitch of the Death Nerve or Bay of Blood, and there's not one but 3 kills from that movie that this movie completely ripped off. Okay, I know that's harsh, but if it's 1, that's fine. But 3, so you had the Impaling in the bed, which see Twitch of the Death Nerve, Bay of Blood, because that one shows the whole thing. That's one thing I love about Italian horrors. They don't hold back. All the practical effects are there. All the blood's there. Whereas Friday Part 2, the movie was butchered. And you only see, it's kind of like an aftermath type deal. You see that Jason's going to stab him with the spike, and then that's it. But you only see, the after effect. You don't actually see the spike going through, So, there's that. And then also this kill right here with the wheelchair. There's actually a victim in a wheelchair at the beginning of Bay of Blood. And then there's another victim that gets a machete to the face, just like the wheelchair. So that's like a 1-2 punch. So, yeah. Whoever wrote Friday Part 2 was definitely, they were on a high from freaking Mario Bava. All right. So that's your taste. All right. I'm not going to give you any more. That's your taste. All right. And by the way, my next review is going to be Blowout. Oh my God, guys. I already recorded it. Going to be editing it here pretty soon. Man, this was cinema. This movie was cinema. This movie was just beautifully directed, by Brian De Palma. And these are movies I love talking about. These are movies I love reviewing. This was fun for me. This wasn't work. Some movies you review, you're like, this is going to be work, and sometimes that could be a good movie. It could still feel like work, just because if you're when I do those revisited videos, it's a movie that I've already talked about, obviously. So it feels like work because not only do I got to talk about it again, but I got to try to get more creative and give you a longer, I got to go deeper. You know what I mean? But this was a movie that I could freaking talk about for days and just enjoy every little morsel because the direction is so damn good. There's something unique about the movie. So it's easy to talk about, You don't have to rack your brain trying to pull out. Carly, she sent me the movie Funny Games. That was a fun movie to talk about just because it was so freaking unique. It was so well directed. It was a conversation piece, Can you imagine being in this situation that this family's in? Yeah. So Blowout is one of those type movies. I mean, the way Brian De Palma directs films is just so interesting. Just so interesting how he approaches. He doesn't do a scene like, okay, I'm going to take the easy route. No. How can I make this scene interesting? And I don't care how hard it is to pull it off. I'm going to do it. And this movie's full of that stuff. And it's great performances. And so look for that review. It's coming out really soon. All right, guys? I just wanted to promote that review. It's coming out really soon. Because that's what you're going to get on my channel. Okay, I'm going to try my best to talk about stuff that might come around the corner and hit you when you don't expect, okay? That's my goal going. I've been doing this for 8 years now. I want to talk about movies that some of you have never heard of. And I want you to watch the reviews, and I want you to watch the movie. And then tell me if you loved the movie. Because more times than not, I'm getting these comments saying, thank you so much for recommending that movie, okay? Or I could do another Scream live stream, all right? So, nothing wrong with Scream, okay? We all love Scream. It's great. I get it, okay? But I want to give you something, all right? I want to give you something. All right, there we go. So yeah, the movie's inspired by Italian horror. Week 2, we still haven't done it. We're going to do it next time, though. I swear to God. We'll do that first, okay? You guys picked. You guys wanted to do the Obsession movies. So, but just to give you a little taste, Friday part 2, okay? You're going to get more stuff like that. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun little conversation we're going to have with each other, okay? I'm going to test you guys. Why is this inspired by Italian horror, okay? And you see 3 of them right there. Some of them are easy answers, you know? So, anyway, guys, God, man, these fly right freaking by. These fly right freaking by. I had so much fun with you guys, though. Thank you for hanging out with me for 2 hours. And thank you for just keeping Drumdums alive and you know, supporting me and letting me do this thing I love doing and doing it on my own terms. I really appreciate it, guys. So take care of each other. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful Easter with each other. And I love you guys, and I'm ready to take this relationship to the next level. Okay? So anyway, guys, take care.